Fred Film Radio from the 81st Venice Film Festival. I'm Angela Cerbi. I'm here with Ben Chaplin for the film September 5. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
So, Ben, in the film tells the story about that day at the Munich Olympics where everything happened, and the day where the way of making TV news changed completely, probably. And you are, in the movie, you are like the moral pillar of the crew. You're the one that knows how to consider a piece of news not only for the news itself but for the people that involved as well. So they say you are the conscience.
Yes,
right.
Yes, I mean I think that's how it came across certainly in the script, and when I saw the movie, he seems to be the one person that is able to, or is considering the consequences as they're doing it, the consequences of filming it and broadcasting it. He's certainly thinking about that more than the other two, I would say, than Geoffrey Mason and Roone Arledge in our film. And I wonder to what degree that might be that he's not, the character that I play, Marvin Bader, was a VP, head of operations. So he was more about the whole picture, not especially about broadcasting.
Yeah.
You know, Roone was an actual director, an actual producer, and same with, although he was young, same with Geoffrey Mason. So I sort of wonder if he was given that distance. He always had to have an overview of an entire Olympics. So perhaps he was more in a better position to see it more clearly.
To see the bigger picture of what could have happened.
Because that was his actual job, was foreseeing problems in Olympics, and he was considered to be the best ever at that.
How did you prepare for that? Because, you know, there were a lot of footage about what happened. Everything was shown, but we never knew exactly what happened behind the scene of the news that we saw.
No, I didn't know anything about that. No, I didn't know anything about that until I read the script. How do I prepare for it? How does he prepare for it? How do I prepare for it for the film?
For the film. I mean, because you knew about it because everybody. I mean, we knew.
I knew about Munich.
Exactly.
Munich Olympics, but I didn't know anything about the broadcasting of it. Nothing. No, it's fascinating.
It's fascinating to see how the way of broadcasting news changed completely from that day on.
Isn't that incredible? That's why it's sort of. I mean, of course, it's about a terrible tragedy, but that's why the film is original, unique, and why it should be. Why I think Tim wanted to tell it. You know.
Yeah, because it's a little bit of like an action movie, but it's not a real action movie. But he has this kind of plus. Beside the tension, there is this moral question.
There is, isn't
behind
there?
It. Yeah.
And it's interesting because they were qualified in terms of filming because sports television was way ahead of news television at that time.
Yeah.
They, you know, and Roone Arledge was a groundbreaking director who invented some things with cameras, handheld, sports. You know, they were really ahead of their time, and that equipment what they were using was space age, you know, at the time. And now it looks so sort of funny, right? But in terms of the questions and the moral dilemma of broadcasting real world potentially tragic events, they weren't qualified at all.
Yeah, of course.
So but they're just doing their job. And I think the question to me that's interesting that it poses is how qualified is anybody to do that? Is anyone qualified? Probably, and should we do it? You know?
Probably nobody was qualified back then. Maybe even if they were not news people, but they were sport people, even news people back then didn't know what to do probably.
And 900 million people watched it.
Yeah, and it was because it was really, really interesting because I remember the Munich thing. I was following because I had the cousin competing back there.
You did?
Yeah, wow. My cousin was competing in the hurdles.
Hurdles, what, 110 meter?
Yeah.
Wow.
And he was in the semi-final and he couldn't...
Got to the semis?
And he couldn't do the final because then everything was stopped and was cancelled.
That is so bad.
So
is he
all the family was
for
following.
Italy?
Yeah.
Wow, man.
And that fact...
So it's in your family and it's in your family history that
everybody was in the same position because your character and the crew didn't know what to do, And at home, nobody knew exactly what was happening, and nobody knew how to manage, how to,
No, that's
handle
right.
that.
At which point do you declare it a disaster and the games must go on? Well, they can't. It's always very difficult when you're in the midst of any kind of accident, tragedy. That to actually process it, you can't.
Yeah, this is why I was telling that your character is like the moral ground, because he was the only one that could see the whole event like an event, not just like a piece of news.
Yeah, and I think perhaps aside from the fact that there's a lot of people talking about how kind he was and how warm he was. He was grumpy and moody too, but apparently everyone just says so kind, so warm, took care of everybody who worked for him, down to every production assistant. Really, really, everyone loved him, but didn't want to cross him because he had a bad temper. But probably the size of the job, right?
Yeah, exactly.
The size of and it was global because he did 10 Olympics in his life. But so my guess is that that is what, not just his warmth, his empathy, but also his job gave him
his role.
His role
made it.
The reason he was good at that job was why he spotted the problem there.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, thanks a lot, Ben Chaplin, for having been with us and talk about September 5, a great movie here at the Venice Festival. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm Angela Cherby for Fred, the Festival Insider.